Hi students, welcome back. Now let's go through the remaining portions of the chapter. So moving on to our next topic, old and new religions. The 1000 years of history that we are exploring witnessed major developments in religious traditions. People's belief in the divine was sometimes deeply personal, but more usually it was collective. Collective belief in a supernatural agency, religion, was often closely connected with the social and economic organization of local communities. As the social worlds of these groups altered, so too did their beliefs. So in 1000 years of history, we observe various developments in religious traditions. People's beliefs about these religions was personal, and moreover it was collective. It was often connected with the social and economic organization of local communities. It was during this period that important changes occurred in what we call Hinduism today. These included the worship of new deities, the construction of temples by royalty, and the growing importance of Brahmanas, the priests, as dominant groups in society. So, during this period, Hinduism has been developed. They started to worship new deities, and they had also constructed temples, and they gave more importance to Brahmanas and has been chosen these Brahmanas as the priests, and they were considered as a dominant groups in the society. Their knowledge of Sanskrit texts earned the Brahmanas a lot of respect in society. Their dominant position was consolidated by the support of their patrons, new rulers searching for prestige. So because of this knowledge of Sanskrit texts, Brahmanas has earned respect in the society. And they also supported the patrons. Patron, an influential, wealthy individual who supports another person, an artist, a craft person, a learned man, or a noble. So a patron is a wealthy individual and he supports another person such as artist, craft person, or a learned person, or a noble. One of the major developments of this period was the emergence of the idea of bhakti, of a loving personal deity that devotees could reach without the aid of priests or elaborate rituals. You will be learning about this and other traditions in chapter 8. So another such development that has been taken place during this period was the emergence of the idea of bhakti. This was also the period when new religions appeared in the subcontinent. Merchants and migrants first brought the teachings of the Holy Quran to India in the 7th century. Muslims regard the Quran as their holy book and accept the sovereignty of the one God, Allah, whose love, mercy, and bounty embrace all those who believe in Him without regard to social background. So many new religions has been developed during the period. Merchants and migrants brought the teachings of Holy Quran during 7th century to India. Okay, and these Muslims has regarded this Quran as their holy book, and they only believed in one God, that is Allah. Many rulers were patrons of Islam, and the ulama learned theologians and jurists. Unlike Hinduism, Islam was interrupted in a variety of ways by its followers. There were the Shia Muslims who believed that the Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law Ali was the legitimate leader of the Muslim community, and the Sunni Muslims who accepted the authority of the early leaders of the community and the succeeding caliphs. There were other important differences between the various schools of law and in theology and mystic traditions. So same as that of Hinduism, where bhakti, new deities has been developed, isn't it? Here also people has interrupted variety of ways of worship. And there were two groups of Muslims, that is Shia Muslims and Sunni Muslims. These Shia Muslims believed the Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law Ali, and they are considered, and he was considered as the legitimate leader of the Muslim community. Whereas in Sunni Muslims, they have accepted the authority of early leaders. They are known as Khalifas. So many important differences are there in between these two Muslim groups, as we have discussed in Shia and Sunni Muslims. Their belief and as well as many ways of interpreting these worship has been worship is different. Thinking about time and historical periods. Historians do not see time just as a passing of hours, days or years, as a clock or a calendar. Time also reflects changes in social and economic organization, in the persistence and transformation of ideas and beliefs. The study of time is made somewhat easier by dividing the past into large segments, periods, that possesses shared characteristics. So, there were changes in the social and economic organizations. Okay, and also there was a transformation of the ideas and beliefs. Okay, so during this past, there has been various changes in the social and economic organizations. Study of past was made somewhat easier by dividing it into large segments, dividing this past into large segments such as periods, which is known as periods. The past is divided into large segments, which is known as periods. In the middle of the 19th century, British historians divided the history of India into three periods: Hindu, Muslim and British. So in the 19th century, these British historians has divided our India's history into three periods, that is Hindu, Muslim and British. This division was based on the idea that the religion of rulers was only important historical change and that there were no other significant developments in the economy, society or culture. Such a division also ignored the rich diversity of the subcontinent. So the religion of rulers was the one of the important historical changes that historians has mentioned. This was only considered as the reason for the division of time, as we all learned that the past is divided into variety of segments called periods. So these historians has only chosen the historical changes which is associated with the religions of rulers to consider these periods. Okay, so this division also ignored the rich diversity of the subcontinent. Few historians follow this periodization today. Most look to economic and social factors to characterize the major elements of different moments of the past. So some historians is also following this type of periodization today also, that mainly focus on this religion of the rulers. Okay, but some have focused on the economic and social factors and characterize the past on the basis of these economic and social factors. The histories you read last year included a wide range of early societies: hunter-gatherers, early farmers, people living in towns and villages, and early empires and kingdoms. So last year we have discussed about these hunter-gatherers, farmers, village people, and also about empires and kingdoms, isn't it? The histories you will be studying this year are often described as medieval. You will find out more about the spread of peasant societies, the rise of regional and imperial state formations, sometimes at the cost of pastoral and forest people, the development of Hinduism and Islam as major religions, and the arrival of European trading companies. So this year we will discuss on the medieval period. We are going to discuss about the spread of peasant societies, the rise of regional and imperial state formations. Similarly, we will also discuss about the development of Hinduism and Islam as major religions. These 1000 years of Indian history witnessed a considerable change. After all, the 16th and 18th centuries were quite different from the 8th or the 11th. Therefore, describing the entire period as one historical unit is not without its problems. So, in those 1000 years of Indian history witnessed many changes. That means the 16th and the 18th centuries were different from that of 8th and 11th centuries. Okay, so there were many changes has been happened during these 1000 years. Moreover, the medieval period is often contrasted with the modern period. Modernity carries with it a sense of material progress and intellectual advancement. This seems to suggest that the medieval period was lacking in any change whatsoever. But of course, we know this was not the case. So, the medieval period is often contrasted with the modern period. Okay, this modernity carries the material progress and the intellectual advancements. Okay, during these 1000 years, the society of the subcontinent were transformed often, and economies in several regions reached a level of prosperity that attracted the interest of European trading companies. So, during these 1000 years, several regions has reached the level of prosperity, and thus the European trading companies were attracted to these regions. As you read this book, look out for signs of change and the historical processes at work. Also, whenever you can, compare what you read in this book with what you read last year. Look out for changes and continuities wherever you can, and look at the world around you to see what else has changed or remained the same. So, we can see the changes from past thousands of years. Okay, so this year we will be discussing more about these changes that has occurred during these past 1000 years. Okay, so here ends our chapter. If you have any doubt, you can comment it in the comment box below, and if you also want the Malayalam explanation of this chapter, you can also comment that in the comment box below. Okay, thank you.